Hey, so I am Vincent, the Wandering Warrior, and this video is about my journey, what I call the wandering. How did it all begin? What is it all about? And what are my concrete goals that I'm trying to achieve? Stay tuned. So how to begin? Obviously, in this case, I'm from Massachusetts because two immigrants from Taiwan went to the United States of America, met, and boom, came out of that motherfucker, ripped out the umbilical cord. No, I was born in Lowell, Massachusetts. I lived an incredibly privileged and yet also rough life in different ways. Of course, one of the things that I experienced growing up quite a bit was getting into fights, getting beat the fuck up at home, feeling the need to be able to fight, to be able to defend myself, to be able to beat the shit out of somebody. I was hot-headed, I was angry, I was violent, and I was determined to not be the one getting beat. I think, to be honest, many of us begin that way. So I think some of my early inspirations as far as martial arts are concerned was Mike Tyson and by extension Jack Dempsey. Taekwondo, because my father did Taekwondo. He taught me some of the basics, but my parents didn't really let me do martial arts till later. And sumo, because my akong, my grandfather, loves sumo, and I've watched some of it when I was young with him, and I just had such a cool impression, like giants just slamming each other on the ground, boom, boom. Oh, it was so cool, right? And so these kind of ideas are circulating in my head while I was this young, angry boy. Who also on the softer side of things was really into nature, really into culture, really into asking why. Why are things the way they are? Why do they have to be this way? At age 16, I started doing martial arts for real. I worked, I made my own money, and I started paying for lessons, right? I almost went the route of Hapkido, I almost went the route of Kung Kamai, Cambodian kickboxing, but I ended up with Qixing Dangang 7-star praying mantis boxing, a Chinese, MMA, weapons, striking, wrestling, self-defense, combatives, MMA for killing people. I studied under Sufu Randy Brown in Massachusetts. I think we began in Littleton. On the way, I've also learned some boxing, Muay Thai, archery, guns. I've also done a lot of fencing, rapier, staff work, sword, saber. I'd also been involved and exposed to some of the Kuntao Silat and Filipino Eskrima world. I also got to a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, also under my Sufu Randy Brown, who not only is an accomplished mantis boxer, but also black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, as well as having done Taiji, Xingyi, some Eagle Claw, and other stuff. Cool guy, obviously, check out his stuff. All these things combined, and working at many different companies, pulling 12-hour shifts regularly. Usually, 8 to 8 or 9 to 9, 5 days a week, sometimes taking stuff home. I was a workaholic and I lost myself in it. But by age 28, I had a few experiences that, although unpleasant at times, and sometimes awesome, either way, gave me clarity. Gave me a sense of direction with regards to my passions and interests and spiritually who the fuck I am as a human being. And you could say that through reflection, through a mental breakdown, through perseverance, through experience, through travel, through fighting, I found my calling. I found my calling, and that is being the wandering warrior. Yeah, 28 was a big year for me. When I was 28, I went to Taiwan and met the person who's currently my Shuaijiao coach. Shuaijiao being sort of this Qing era, today a Chinese wrestling, right? It wasn't always a Chinese wrestling, it was more Mongol Manchu at one point, but that's history. Anyways, met him, and I also went to Mongolia and experienced for the first time, firsthand, Mongol wrestling, and oh, it was amazing. And I saw instantly the interconnections between this stuff and Mantis, Tanglang Quan, praying mantis boxing. And I knew, given my own inclination towards clinch work and wrestling, that I needed this wrestling foundation, as well as just high level of skill in wrestling as an art. I wanted all of that. I wanted the archery, the horsemanship, the saber. In addition to all that, the staves, the clubs, the short blades, the knives, the cudgels, the spear. And I realized the taiga and meets the steppe, Taiwan and Borneo, in the Philippines, in the Amazon, it all neatly intersected with these stories. This story of mankind's expansion, of man and nature, of human migration, of conquest, of resurgence, adaptation and resilience, and all the martial arts that come out of that. And to me, it's all just scale. It's all just scale. This sort of need to adapt, overcome, and dominate. On a grand scale, this is nature. This is the human story. And for us, this is martial arts. This crucible of combative development that, if you can distill down to certain principles philosophically, because of the harsh cauldron that it is, if you're doing it right, no BS gets to survive. No bullshit makes it in there. And so what you get out of it philosophically is amazing, is empowering, is life-changing. Some of the best philosophy is it's on the tatami. And so I want to be able to connect all these threads in a way that, makes sense in my head. And I want to explore all of that, to empower and to learn, to experience for myself, but also to present to all of you, take you all with me, and to make this my living, to make this my lifestyle, because it's who I am. And these dreams are being transitioned into goals. I look forward to coaching a hall of wrestling and martial arts, maybe one on both sides of the Pacific, the Americas and Asia, and mentoring and instructing. I look forward to writing and giving talks and making videos and movies. I look forward to promoting an honest perspective, a free and responsible, a strong and yet thoughtful way of living. And I hope that through these journeys I find a way to champion a cause of both intertwined indigenous land rights and saving the local ecosystem from our modern global economy's greed that we collectively fuel. So obviously that's the grand scheme, right? That's where we're headed. But the details, how exactly I walk on this path, some of that remains to be seen, right? We were blindsided by this coronavirus out of Wuhan that we now know as COVID-19, and is really affecting global everything, right? And so it's a very enlightening time, and it's time that I take great gratitude in knowing that I'm in Taiwan, I'm in the homeland, and it's a place, it's a country where we've been taking care of shit, top down and bottom up, and it's great. But it has slowed down some aspects of my journey. However, I'm in Taiwan, so there's a lot I can do here. And right now my goals are getting my shuaijiao down packed. I also want to shine a spotlight on the local kun tao, quan tou, Fujianese pugilism, I guess, kung fu, Hakka martial arts. I want to shed a light on some of the other martial arts that are on the island that were brought over by the Chinese nationalists, whole lot of historical baggage there, but they brought over some really cool stuff, including shuaijiao, which I'm practicing. It's kind of dying out in some ways in Taiwan, and that's a shame. There was a time when Taiwan shuaijiao was some of the best in the world, and I want to maybe help inspire that fire to come back, maybe help be that spark. Connected to shuaijiao, I also want to explore more the bannermen martial arts. Bannermen are the elite forces of the Qing Empire back in the day, right? And they are made up of Manchu, Mongol, and Han soldiers. These were professional soldiers. They would have trained archery, they would have trained saber, they would have trained spear, they would have trained muskets, they would have trained primarily in wrestling. And shuaijiao partially comes out of that legacy. I've also been digging deeper into Mantis boxing, my own background, and the weaponry associated with it. You know, I've learned the essentials of two staff systems, of the Junzong Da Dao, the World War II era Chinese chopper. I've learned how to use an oxtail saber, right? I've learned basics of spear work. And so I want to document all of that, and I want to share that with you guys and just show the world who the fuck I am. I want to explore the militia training, the weapons training for my ethnic group, the Hololang. It's called the Songjiangzhen or Songganting anymore. I want to explore the culture and the martial traditions of the Katsalisi and the native peoples of southern Taiwan, the Rukai, the Paiwan especially. In the indigenous Aboriginal traditions here in southern Taiwan, especially of the Paiwan peoples, you know, you have Mauluts, you know, traditional belt wrestling. You have their taki, their short sword. You have Voluk, their spear, Pananak, archery, Goang, the musket, which of course was introduced to them by my people in the Hakka. And I want to, hand in hand, present to you not only the martial arts. This is not just about technique, tactics, and strategy. This is also about culture. This is also about story, the story of these people. This is also about their environment. So the nitty-gritty of it and the broader context, all of that. Taiwan, in a way, will be my practicing ground, my staging ground. And when things open up, bet your ass I'm gonna be out in Mongolia or Ubur Mongol. I'm gonna be in Malaysia, Sarawak especially, and I'm gonna be flexing these skills that I have been building up here in Taiwan, no doubt about it. Being the wandering warrior. That's what I am. That's who I am. Thank you for joining me on my journey. I salute yours. Peace.